What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got a pretty dang duel for you guys to check out. This duel is going to be fairly quick, so make sure you don't blink or you might end up missing it. This particular cheese is brought to you by my buddy Master Dinnerflax. He is a Yu-Gi tuber, and I guess the best way to describe him is probably a mad scientist Yu-Gi-Oh player. He's one of those players who basically won't play a deck unless he made the deck himself. Everything that he plays is 100% like his own creation, and he just kind of comes up with a whole bunch of like crazy deck ideas. What you guys are going to see is a Norellas deck that revolves around dropping level 6 monsters and rank 6s pretty much throughout the entire duel. It uses some brand new cards from Dark Neostorm, and this actually is it's, in my opinion, it's actually worse than something like Mystic Mind, because this can take away your opponent's entire opening hand just by going first and using the effect of Phantom of Chaos to copy Norellas. If you don't know about Norellas, it's like, I feel like every Yu-Gi-Oh player has experienced that card at one point or another, and there's going to be kind of some crazy level 6s that maybe you would not have expected in this build or in this deck. So you can see right here, he has Chaos Sorcerer, he has Apprentice Illusion Magician, he does have a Light Sworn Engine in here, and that's just because so many of his cards actually work from the graveyard. It is a Chaos themed build. That's why things like Light Pulsar Dragon and the Fable cards are in here. So start off with Solar Recharge, and then he can draw some cards. He can mill one. He did actually mill this Fable to the graveyard. This guy can send 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard to summon itself from the graveyard. So a lot of these cards summon themselves from the graveyard. He does have his Phantom of Chaos, and since it is a Chaos deck, Allure of Darkness is just like a no-brainer at this point. So he goes for Illusion Apprentice Magician. That gets him the Dark Magician, which at nothing, if nothing else, is just, it's food for the Allure of Darkness. So he can just go ahead. If his opponent would have ashed that, he still would have had the Chaos Sorcerer in hand to use for Allure of Darkness. But you can see he still has the charge of the Light Brigade. And this is important because not only does it get him, potentially a normal summon, which I guess he would probably want to save his normal summon for the Phantom of Chaos, but really this can be used to just summon the Fable monster from the graveyard, and he's still getting other cards in his graveyard at the same time. So that's actually pretty good. So you're going to see he's going to give up the Chaos Sorcerer and the Raiden, then he's going to summon his Fable guy from the graveyard. Now he has 2 level 6s. You guys know what that means. He can go into Lady Beatrice. Lady Beatrice could then just send Norellas to the graveyard, and basically he can just normal summon Phantom of Chaos, and he just depletes he essentially erases the entire game. He can just Thanos snap, and everything is going bye-bye at this point. So his opponent is like, bruh, are you kidding? Like, get that nonsense out of here. I would be a little mad because I'd be like, do you actually have the Phantom of Chaos in your hand? So he's going to essentially erase the entire game. His opponent, you can see here, is playing Pendulum Magicians. Would have had a really probably solid opening, but he ain't getting none of them plays off. There will be no Electromite today. Flax unfortunately drew a Destiny Hero Malicious. That probably was not the best draw that he could have gotten with the Norellas, but it's perfectly fine because he is just going to summon his Chaos Betrayer, and it's like, even if he didn't have any monsters on field after the Norellas, like, he's still perfectly fine because the Chaos Betrayer can summon itself in the, from the graveyard. It also has a DD Crow effect. It's it can kind of be relevant in certain matchups, like if you pull it off against Salamangreat, like turn 1 Norellas, you want to get rid of like their spinnies, and you might want to get rid of like their Foxy in the graveyard, stuff like that. You can see that his opponent playing Pendulum Magician. What are you really going to do with one card? Unless that card is, Supreme King Dark Worm, you're just really not getting anywhere. Flax did top deck a copy of Farfa. That's actually really good because now he could just potentially summon the Farfa. He can get rid of his opponent's face down monster, and then he can just start summoning, more monsters and trying to go for game here. So let's see what he's going to do. Oh, he's actually not going to summon it. He's going to pitch it to summon the Fabled monster back from the graveyard. That's fine because at the same time, the Farfa is still going to activate. I see you, Flax, with your 200 IQ play. He also gets the information. Well, I guess in real life you wouldn't get the information because the purple poison would stay face down, but it's irrelevant. The main point of the play is with the Farfa is to basically just get your opponent's monster off the field. He now can get his Malicious from his deck because he pitched the first Malicious that he drew, so that really wasn't a problem. He's going to go into I believe a rank 6, and I think he's going into M7, and what M7 can do here is it can put the Light Pulsar Dragon back in his hand so that he can just summon it as if he never would have actually sent it to the graveyard. So he's just going to go ahead and summon that. And keep in mind, he can still summon the Chaos Betrayer from his graveyard. So now the thing is, Chaos Betrayer does have to be summoned in defense mode. If it could be summoned in attack mode, he would just have an OTK right here. So that was the one like small thing. I was like, dang man, he's so close to being able to just OTK his opponent. He is going to use that DD Crow effect. Not really relevant against like pendulums. They don't really use the graveyard that much, except for like Dark Worm or something like that. But you can see that he almost has game on board. He just, you know, couldn't attack with one of his monsters. But it's fine. It can still serve as a body for link summoning. So his opponent is going to eat all that damage, and just with 600 life points left, I think he's going to go into beat comp, and then he's also going to be able to go into another rank 6. Now at this point, you would have your option, your choices of rank 6. He's going to go into the Vampire rank 6, but if you wanted to go Photon Strike Bouncer, which would also burn your opponent for 1,000 if they tried to activate any monster effects on field, that would be an option. If you just wanted to go for a different rank 6 like Naruto, maybe you were, well no, Naruto would require 2 spellcasters, so he wouldn't be able to go into that with this play particularly. But his opponent doesn't really have much options there, and he just basically scoops it up. If you guys are interested in seeing the deck profile, of course I have pulled everything up right here. So essentially all the cards that we saw throughout the duel, most of them are ran at 3, except, you know, certain cards like Malicious because it's semi-limited. But a lot of these cards are, you're pretty much maxing out. You wouldn't want to max out on Dark Magician because it's you know, you can get it to your hand for free with your Prince Illusion. This is technically, it's not a full brick because you can discard it for the Fabled guy. You can obviously banish it from Allure of Darkness, but it's very similar to like Salamangreat Sanctuary. You don't want to draw this card because if you have Illusion and you resolve her, then obviously you're going to add this for free. So yeah, you don't want to ever really draw this card, but if you do, there are ways to kind of make use out of it. Running 5 Lightsworn monsters, Raiden can obviously normal summon itself and also mail cards to the graveyard. So Raiden is a no-brainer. And then if you happen to go second, you definitely want to go Lila, because Lila can also just get rid of one of your opponent's back row. You don't really have space for full-on back row removal in this deck. And then the spells are basically cards to just turbo through your deck. We have Celestial Observatory because it works with all your level 6s, Monster Reborn, Foolish Burial, another way of getting the Norellas in the graveyard. If you can't get to Beatrice, you could just Foolish you know, your Norellas into the graveyard, normal summon your Phantom of Chaos, and easy peasy, you can basically just kind of reset the entire game. Flax did also side in. He sided into Heretics, which was really interesting. He's got like 7 or 8 Heretics cards that he likes to all bring in, as well as like Vanity's Rulers. So those are all options. You can play Vanity's Fiend if you want in this deck, because there are certain matchups like Salamangreat where if you just go first, you could probably like summon a Princess Illusion, tribute for Vanity's Fiend, and like literally win the game off of that. So there's a bunch of options, and I thought that this was just a really cool deck. So if you guys enjoyed this, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Check out Master Dinner Flax for more kind of crazy concoctions like this, guys.